Hi, my name is Jack Jenkins, and I'm a student at the University of Oklahoma. Today, I will be talking to you about the debate between using oil and gas versus renewable energy. In the early 1900s, oil was discovered in the United States. This was known as the oil boom. Hundreds of companies formed, and this really brought the US to the world power that it is today. But as these companies began to grow, they began to become more and more greedy, caring less about the environment and more about their profits. As the health of our planet continues to get worse, we must step up and change the way that we consume and produce energy. Oil and gas has had a negative impact on our environment. In the last 120 years, the temperature on Earth has continued to increase. This increase in temperature began right around the height of the Industrial Revolution. Oil was transformed into fuel and then burned to produce energy. This innovation has helped the world evolve, but as we continue to use this source of energy, the side effects have become more and more prominent. Our glaciers, for example, have begun to melt at alarming rates. This will put our coastal cities at risk. An article published by the United States Environmental Protection Agency reported that, quote, by 2100, the average US temperature is projected to increase by about 3 degrees Fahrenheit to 12 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the emission scenario and the climate model used, end quote. The transition from oil and natural gas to renewable energy will provide the world with a cleaner planet, preserving what we love for generations to come. Renewable energy is cleaner than oil and gas because it is created by renewable sources like wind, and the sun. Renewable energy doesn't release any methane into the atmosphere, making it a lot safer and a lot cleaner. It also doesn't need to be burned to release energy, excuse me. It can simply just be collected and released. In the last 20 years, renewable energy technology has made major steps forward. Wind and solar farms have begun to pop up all across the US, but still, major oil companies continue to deny that renewable energy is the future of the industry. Oil companies argue that renewable energy farms are too expensive to maintain. But in the last decade, that has all changed. Currently, a windmill has a lifespan of 20 years with minor expenses for its maintenance. They also only require a maximum of 5 day-to-day employees at each solar and wind farm. Also, these employees aren't constantly working. It's a lot of maintenance, a lot of maintaining, and a lot of watching. Currently, oil and gas companies employ an average of 50 employees at each drilling site who work around the clock. Now, switching to renewable energy would cut these production costs dramatically. Oil and gas companies have begun to slowly invest into renewable energy. For example, ExxonMobil, the largest oil and gas company in the world, they have recently pledged $3 billion into renewable energy. But for a company worth $290 billion, $3 billion just simply is not enough. In the last decade, another problem from oil drilling has arisen. A new technique called fracking, where drills dig extremely deep into the ground to try to find these untouched oil pools. They crack the Earth's surface. And doing this, they trigger an earthquake. Many earthquakes have been triggered here in Oklahoma from this technique. Multiple homes have been damaged, and even people have been injured. Fracking is clearly not sustainable and should not be done when we have such a nice and easier solution with renewable energy. And don't get me started on pollution in the ocean, because oil spills, they have killed thousands and thousands of lives of sea animals. I understand that changing our energy source cannot happen overnight, but more must be done to change the trajectory of our future. I propose that oil and gas companies devote 25% of all their annual profits to producing renewable energy. This will allow oil and gas companies to slowly transition into the new energy field. During this transition, their employees will gain the knowledge needed to ensure their company remains successful when changing. As these companies continue to invest into renewable energy, they will see the benefit, and so will the public. Most of these oil and gas companies that I'm talking about are largely publicly traded LLCs, meaning anyone like you and I can purchase stock in the company. When oil and gas companies announce their goals to stop polluting the environment, they will gain millions and millions of dollars in investments from the public. You might be asking yourself the question though, what can I do as a young adult who's still in college, doesn't really have any money yet? What can I do to help? Though it may seem that this problem is bigger than us, the solution starts right here, person to person. I like to challenge all of you to invest in clean energy. If you're unable to invest financially, then invest with your actions. Be conscious of the energy you use in your day-to-day life. Switch off the lights when you aren't using them. Walk to places when you can, or invest in an electric vehicle. Preserving the world we love requires everyone to take part. Hopefully, oil and gas companies realize the damage that they are causing and begin to make things right. As the health of our planet continues to get worse, it's no longer acceptable to rely on fossil fuel for energy. We must move on for the sake of humanity. Thank you.